welcome to the show, guys. Big episode. We're talking about your biggest regret for fantasy football 2021. I got a list of my regrets. I try to keep them at a minimal. I don't want a lot of regrets for fantasy football, but I want to know what your biggest regret is. Now, if you're on YouTube, comment below. Was it a bad waiver wire pickup? Was it a guy off waiver wire you didn't pick up? Who did you draft incorrectly? Want to hear your biggest regrets in the comments below here on YouTube. If you are new to the channel, make sure you guys do pump that subscribe button and the thumbs up. Hit those actively, guys. I know a lot of people are watching the channel but aren't subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to win it's a favor to you guys as well. Helps the channel, but also helps you guys because you gotta crush your leagues. I know 16 rounders are crushing your league. So we're talking about the biggest regrets for fantasy football 2021. This far, going into week 12, we're well into the season now, guys. So we have a good idea of who's busting, who's doing well. We got an idea. Biggest regrets, comment below if you're on YouTube. Now, the show is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Head on over there, guys. Create an account. Have some fun. Enhance that game watching experience. There's some big games coming up for Thanksgiving. You do not want to miss out on the action, guys. Mybookie.ag. When you sign up, use code FFC, guys. Make sure you guys use that for fantasy football counselor. FFC upon sign up. Mybookie.ag, guys. It's going to make your game watching experience that much more fun. Go do that right now. This is the site I trust and I work on all the time. Have some fun. Makes games a lot more fun. All right, guys, let's dive into the show. Again, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Let's dive into the biggest regrets. I'm gonna start sharing mine right now. Oh, one more regret here. I had I was actually using, this is a true story here. I was actually using shampoos and conditioners that had parabens in them, okay? And I switched over to manscaped.com. Guys, if you haven't, get their shampoo, body wash, paraben-free, cruelty-free, amazing products, guys. Manscaped.com, including their trimmer. Head on over there, guys. Use promo code SHOWERLINE. Save yourself 20%. You're going to get a good, clean product. Amazing product. Manscaped.com, SHOWERLINE. Get yourself the trimmers as well. All right, guys? All right, let's dive into this. So my biggest regret, let's save that near the end here. But I do want to talk here, guys. It's very, very important. I do want to talk about your biggest regret. So what I did is I took to Instagram, and the DMs are pouring in. I did a quick post and what is your biggest regret? And we're diving into that. So I'm going to open up DMs here spontaneously and go over, like just randomly, and just talk about people's biggest regrets. So let's dive into your biggest regrets. So first one here, we got Marshall Hurst from Instagram, Marshall Hurst 97. I'm going to be shouting you guys out. I told you guys I would. Drafted Ridley and A-Rob rounds 2 and 3. Now I talked about Allen Robinson. I told you that, it's a different situation, quarterbacks. I told you to be cautious about that. Ridley, on the other hand, I dodged him because of the fact that I was going Najee round 2 in all my drafts. So I was able to dodge Ridley, although a lot of people got him. And I understand why. Julio was gone, volume was there, Matt Ryan throws for a ton of yards. It just, who would have thought he had a mental breakdown? He had to take time off, or whatever happened with the mental issues he had to deal with. That's fine. You got to deal with your brain first before you're able to get into the game. So he had some things he had to do, some personal issues he had to resolve. Nobody could account for that. So yes, it's a regret, and I understand it, but some things happen. But based on the way that Ridley laid out at the prior of the season, he was primed for a massive season. Him and Pitts were, okay? And Atlanta, it's just been the decline of Matt Ryan, which is kind of explaining this, okay? Let's keep going through yours. Drafted Dobbins instead of Robinson. Other than that, that's all my regrets. So that's good. So Dobbins, the guy, said, be careful. Obviously got hurt. It happens, but he was on another reason I dodged him is because Lamar Jackson runs a lot. So Dobbins was the guy I just avoided, so no regret for me personally. And I talked about that in the 16-round draft solution. Now, one thing I try to do is eliminate as much risk as possible in the 16-round draft solution. That's why I created it. I give you all the optimal players to draft in each round. And that's why people are winning, because we minimize the risk, right? What goes up must come down. If a player did really high this year, I won't put him on top. I'll anticipate most of this stuff, but it's fantasy. You can't, even myself, who is light years ahead of the sheep and ahead of the competition, can't eliminate risk fully, right? We try to do that, but for fantasy football, but it's fantasy football, spontaneous. Like I said, Dobbins gets hurt and Ridley has things that he's got to deal with. So things always happen, even if you feel that players are in a good position. So let's keep going on with the biggest regrets here. Biggest regrets, Tyler Lockett. Okay, fair enough. Tyler Lockett, Mr. Consistent, not as consistent this year. Here's a good one, and I want to eat crow on this. Saquon first overall. Now, Saquon, big bust. I want to take ownership of this, and this is why I go robust RB. I always anticipate that that first round running back could go down. We saw it with Christian McCaffrey for most of the season. We saw it with Saquon. We see it with Derrick Henry even, right? Like, there's no bulletproof running back, okay? All you could do is go robust RB and cover yourself. So I'm very fortunate to have Najee Harris, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and Michael Carter, who kind of helped me through the season to maintain my high records and my winning records. So Saquon first overall, but yeah, I've got 5 running backs that are in a good position to succeed, so I'm good. But yes, definitely that's my regret is Saquon Barkley, who played yesterday and put up like 12 points. I mean, dude, I understand you're against a tough rush defense, but you got to step up, right? Jonathan Taylor, he had a tough defense with Buffalo, and he just torched them, right? So enough with the excuses. I don't care how tough the defense is. Saquon, you got to step up. Let's keep going through. Adam Thielen over Cooper Kupp in 4th or 5th round. Thielen has not been that bad, though. So I don't think that's a huge regret. This is from Branton Beard. Thielen over Kupp. I still don't think that's a bad decision. It happens, and I think Thielen has been relatively solid. I think Jefferson is now emerging. And that Saquon came in from John Dion. I forgot to shout you out there. And Noah, what's his name? Noah Barkhouse mentioned the Tyler Lockett one. So I apologize. I'm forgetting to shout some of these guys out. All right. So Sally Botts says Robby Anderson. Yeah, you know what? That's one of my regrets. I didn't actually end up drafting him, but I still thought he was good value. Now, I did suggest you draft him. I think it was round 8 or something like that, because I know DJ Moore was coming off round 5. Anderson was coming off well after round 8 for fantasy football 2021 drafts. So Robby Anderson is not a huge regret for me, and it shouldn't be a regret for you because you got him as like your wide receiver 4-5, right? So it shouldn't be an issue there, Sally Botts. Charlie Hanna sending me a winning team. Congratulations, 16 rounders. You guys are winning, okay? Let's keep going here. This guy, I can't even read this name. Benif Velasco. Drafting Clyde EdwardsHelaire in the 2nd round. Yes, good one. Clyde EdwardsHelaire, huge regret. I was able to dodge that. The reason I dodged it, and again, we all have reasons on why we do and why we don't do things. The reason I dodged Clyde EdwardsHelaire was simple for me. The volume wasn't going to be there. Like, I just didn't see the volume being there. Throw first team, we saw it the year before where he was inflated. Now, mind you, 3rd round was much better value. Actually, coming off 2nd round, typically. So 3rd round, I thought was decent value as an RB3. 2nd round was a bit of a stretch. Sure enough, he busted, got hurt, and he's still not getting the volume that people desire. Definitely a huge regret for a lot of people, okay? Let's keep going. I got a bunch of these. Can't get through all of them, and then I'm going to just talk a little bit about some other regrets, some general regrets here, okay? Drafting Saquon, yes. Okay, yes, a couple Saquons here. Antonio Gibson, thank you, Toby Martin Coles. Toby Martin Coles on Instagram. Yes, Antonio Gibson, huge regret. Not one of my, again, another guy I avoided. The reason I avoided him and I was going Najee round 2 is because I don't trust that offense. I just don't think Washington football team was built to be an offense that is going to, produce a high-end running back, and he's absolutely busted, okay? Absolutely busted. I got a bunch of Barkleys and Robinsons. Yes, I know, guys, but I've explained those. Barkley was primed for a good season, in a position for a good season, due for a bounce-back season. Those are the reasons why I invested in Barkley, is because he had such a huge upside, and it was a make-or-break season, and literally he got broken again. Now, down the stretch here, we've got, playoffs and all that stuff. I think he's going to be a factor. I think he's going to be strong, and I think he's going to make up for his loss. So yes, Barkley crapped the bed, but believe me, there's a chance he could emerge here. I would consider him a low-end RB with massive upside, RB2 with massive upside, okay? Trying to see if there's any other regrets here. They're coming in. My biggest regret is, this is from Jamie Connors. Biggest regret is drafting Antonio Gibson in round 2 out of 6 leagues. In 2 out of 6 leagues. Should have drafted Eckler, made a big whoops. Yeah. Okay, so Antonio Gibson. So my regret to some degree is Eckler. But again, Eckler had not proven to us that he was a full workhorse running back. So Eckler's kind of my regret as well in regards to not advising more people to him. But again, I helped you guys dodge a lot of bullets through the years. Odell Beckham 1st round through the years. Michael Thomas 1st round last year, or this year, whatever it was. I help you guys dodge a lot of bullets, right? But sometimes I miss things. And again, it's fantasy football. Eckler was a guy that, I didn't know he had this much passion for fantasy football, because this year he's actually come out and said, hey, I love fantasy. I love the community. I want to perform for my fantasy fans, and he respects the fantasy community. So that's something that I really like. And I went out on my Instagram and I basically stated that, he's been doing good. He's been crushing it. He's been doing well. So kind of my regret is, I should have believed a little more in Eckler. But again, he hadn't proven to me that he's a guy that could carry the load, be the full workhorse running back, because he sat as a backup to Melvin Gordon for years. So I wasn't really sold on him, okay? There's a bunch more here. Drafting Darren Waller in the third round. Yeah, and this is, again, let's keep going with these. Darren Waller, tight end. I never invested in a tight end early. Yes, he's a regret. And I'll give you one of my regrets right now was Kyle Pitts, third round. Since we're talking about tight ends, Kyle Pitts has just not performed. And then again, it goes back to the Ridley, Matt Ryan whole situation being a debacle. And I think with Ridley being gone, Kyle Pitts is struggling to get free, whereas Ridley would have drawn in a lot of the top receivers and corners, right? Where they don't really have a top wide receiver. They got Zacchaeus or Zucchini, whatever his name is, Gage, and all these other guys, but they don't have a true wide receiver one. They got a bunch of B's, like, B-level type people. So again, when I am looking at these guys, my regrets, Pitts not being high on Eckler, Pitts third round, Ridley second round when the opportunity was there. You can't come down hard on yourself. That's the moral of the story here. You got to just, again, 16 rounds tries to eliminate any of these possibilities, right, of getting a regret, but there's always a chance you do. But you got to understand the reason why you did it. Now, if your reason for having a regret is, I drafted this guy too early because the Conchitas told me, that's a problem. But if you drafted Ridley, there was a reason wwhy I drafted Ridley. It wasn't because the Conchitas were telling you. In this case, he was actually primed to have a good situation, right? Where there's other players that bust, it's like, okay, man, I overpaid. Like Pat Mahomes, you didn't need to pay a second round pick for Pat Mahomes when you could have got yourself a Herbert or someone like that, okay? So again, we always see this every single year. The Conchitas is just copy and paste from last year. These guys break down, they get hurt. People are like, I shouldn't have done it. Well, just make sure that you weren't just doing it because the Conchitas told you. You're doing it because there was a good reason for it. They were in a good position to succeed. Like a lot of people slept on Najee. He was outside the top 10. This is a thing that Conchitas should be sleeping on. They slept on Najee. They slept on James Robinson. Both doing pretty well. It's like, why didn't you see that Najee was primed for a big season? It's like they don't. They just see, these guys were on top last year. Let's draft them again in that order. And that's why 16 rounds really, really helps people see things before they potentially happen. But again, we miss things as well. Michael Thomas, I see regrets on him. People drafted him expecting big things, wasted an earlier draft pick. I think it was third or fourth round. We kind of saw that going into the season. Mahomes, again, a little too high. We talked about Saquon. Jonathan Taylor. I think a lot of people, obviously, hindsight, Jonathan Taylor's doing great. Obviously, a lot of people would have liked to drafted him, top 4 picks and waited late first round or kind of dodged him. And I love Jonathan Taylor. I was the guy that saw the talent last year. But with Jonathan Taylor, it's like he potentially had that committee there. But one pattern that I found, and it kind of holds true, is when these guys come alive near the end of his season. We saw with David Johnson 2015 having a big 2016 year. We saw with Derrick Henry, I think it was the year 2016, 2017. He had the good ending of the year and crushed it the year after. I think it was 2018. And then we see with Taylor, who was good in 2020, end of 2020, was starting to get the workload and then crushed it in 2021. So it's about seeing these trends. And I said Taylor's got a huge ceiling. If he gets the volume, he's going to be the guy. I just said be cautious because there was Nyheim Hines and there was Marlon Mack coming back and all that fun stuff. But Taylor, absolutely unbelievable. I wish I had got him in the first round, went Najee round 2. But again, hindsight 2020, I ended up not, he was recommended my 60 rounds, but I did not end up getting Jonathan Taylor on my teams, but I still have a winning record. I see more regrets for Allen Robinson here as the DMs flow through. Curtis Samuel, I don't know why you draft Curtis Samuel. That's from Mir. And then Nico Clark mentioned Allen Robinson round 2. Thank you, Nico Clark, for the DM. Let's keep going. Barkley at 2 from Mike Smith. Yes. Biggest regret is not getting 60 rounds when I should have. Yes, Jose Ruiz on Instagram. Yes, 60. That's a really good one, actually. I like that one, not getting 60 rounds when I should have. And again, this goes on, but I think we kind of loop around that same circle. The Antonio Gibsons, right, of the world, the Ridleys, a Saquon, CMC, right? A lot of people overpaid for CMC. I see that as well here. So there's a lot of things where you invest early and it ends up being a bust or they don't do well. Now, again, CMC and Saquon could emerge down the stretch. There's no doubt about it. Henry, now you can say I regret drafting Henry, but you can't. Now, I did mention 16 rounds that Henry is due for a decline. I can't predict injuries, but he's just been on such a high. It's very hard to maintain a 2,000-yard rushing season, right? And all those attempts, and he got hurt, right? So that's one, a guy kind of knew he was super safe, but I had this thing in the back of my mind, okay? So regrets, guys. Regrets. Comment below if you're on YouTube. DM me more regrets. Love to read about them more. But again, regrets. Try to avoid them. Get 16 rounds next season. And again, a lot of people also regret not going robust RB because running backs get hurt and there's not a lot of them, right? So many regrets we're going to try to avoid every single year as long as you stick to this channel. All right, guys? Subscribe, thumbs up, comment below what's your biggest regrets. And again, I just want to do a fun episode here talking about the biggest regrets. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Subscribe and stay strong near the ending of these playoffs are coming up. I can't believe we're near the end of the season. Oh my God. We're at week 12. It's coming soon, guys. So make sure you guys stay strong near the end. We'll talk soon.